Hey everyone, I am Kemba, aka Dolphin Days.
Woohoo!
I am 27 years old and I am a disabled gamer with cerebral palsy.
Yeah!
Cerebral palsy is a neurological condition that can affect a person's ability to move, maintain balance, and control their posture. When I was an embryo in my mother's stomach, I suffered a stroke, unfortunately. When I was around 4 to 6 months old, my mother noticed my left fist refused to stay open. Even if she opened my fist herself, it refused to stay open.
Super good!
She took me to the doctors. After a couple visits to the doctors, I was diagnosed with mild cerebral palsy. My variant of cerebral palsy is called a hemiplegia, and the body region of my hemiplegia affects the left side of my body. Growing up with disabilities, and especially growing up with disabilities in the gaming community, was a very extremely difficult time for me because I could not play games as well as my peers around me because I had to go through a lot of adjusted settings to be able to play the game both comfortably and effectively for those around me.
Yeah!
So through time and trial and error, I adjusted my settings across many different games, and I took the time to learn how to play a bunch of different games such as Overwatch, Paladins, My Rivals, League of Legends, Fortnite, Final Fantasy, Genshin Impact, like a broad term of like different fucking games across vast different genres and more.
Yeah!
And you're probably wondering what took me so long to figure out what worked out for me. And I will say, when it came to my gaming career, I had a extreme big problem of quitting video games because a lot of like the movement, a lot of the movement of like how you move your character was on your left side, was on the left side of your body, like and whatnot. And like if I were to like, you know, accommodate myself and switch it to my right side, it would just feel unnatural to me, if that makes any sense. I hope you guys are still with me because you're probably thinking like, how's it unnatural but your left side is like, you know, weaker and whatnot. It felt very unnatural to me because I was like, why is it moving with my right, but it's like stiffly moving with my left? So knowing me in true fashion, I quit a lot of games from shooters to MMOs to a lot of things, and I was like, I'm not picking these games back up ever again. I was cussing these names out and whatnot. And I was like, fuck y'all, I'm not doing this right now.
Super good.
And then I had a conversation with one of my friends, and she asked me like, you can adapt, you can learn how to adapt and adjust yourself to many different things in your personal life, but when it comes to gaming, you just want to give up, you just want to throw in the towel. And I was like, yeah, because I can't do things as well because these games are very intense, and like I feel very bad to anybody that I surround myself with because I can't do it and whatnot. And she was like, you can do it, you just don't want to put in the time and the effort and whatnot. And when she told me that, it echoed in my head. It echoed in my head. And it echoed in my head for like months. And then one day I picked Overwatch back up, and I was like, I'm literally going to commit myself to learning this game and how to play it. So I committed. I was like fucking around, finding out on how to, like, you know, play Overwatch and whatnot. I was fucking around, finding out. I was like beating myself up because after 30 minutes of me playing Overwatch, my left hand was shaking. My fingers were cramping up. And every time I was in a match, my left side, the left side of my controller would be shaking, but while the right side is completely utterly stable and whatnot. I played through it all. I went to only be able to play Overwatch for 30 minutes at a time to being able to play Overwatch for now up to 12 hours if I let myself to and whatnot. And you're probably thinking, how did I know what to adjust? And my honest answer to that, chat, is I literally adjusted settings, trial and error. I literally adjusted some settings, and I literally found out the hard way. I literally adjusted a shit ton of settings throughout the years on multiple different games, not just Overwatch, and I literally just had to trial and error shit. And also at the same time with general settings your horizontal sensitivity, my vertical sensitivity, those get adjusted by the session and whatnot. Those get adjusted by the session. It's not always on because most days I can play Overwatch with my horizontal and vertical sensitivity being at max, which is at 100%. And then other days I can only play Overwatch on fucking 50-80, 60-40. It literally fluctuate and whatnot. And I had to learn the hard way. I had to learn the long way that everything comes with time and patience.
Super good.
I'm sitting here getting frustrated, cussing my own self out about I can't play fucking Mercy in Overwatch 1 and whatnot because she's just too difficult and whatnot. It wasn't because she was a high mobility character. It was simply because she was difficult for me to learn because of her movement, because I couldn't comprehend anything going on with her. But with my friend's help, I was able to get it done. I was able to get it done.
Super good.
So I learned. I took the time and learned. I sat in practice versus AI. I almost said practice range. I sat in practice versus AI matches constantly. I would load up practice versus AI and sit in that bitch for 3 hours a day until my left hand stopped shaking. And then slowly over the months, it stopped shaking. It stopped wobbling. I stopped being fearful that I'm going to fuck up, because again, I was going to fuck up and whatnot. But over time, I learned how to play Overwatch to the best of my abilities that allow me to play Overwatch both effectively and comfortably, because if I can't play Overwatch comfortably, then I'm not going to play effectively, and vice versa. So I found settings, I found sensitivity that allows me to play both effectively and comfortably, and that all what mattered to me. I may not be the greatest player in the world. You guys may see my gaming clips and you may be thinking oh my god, she's dog shit, she should uninstall the game. But keep in mind, I don't care that I'm dog shit at the game. I don't care. You guys play games to better yourself. I play games to simply have fun and fuck around and whatnot. We are not the same. We are not the same booty. We are not the fucking
Yeah.
same. So but through trial and error, months of me crying myself to sleep because I could
Super
not for the
good.
life of me figure out how to play all these different titles of games that I found to the best of my ability. I'm sitting here beating myself up, calling myself trash, calling myself unworthy to play fucking video games over me not taking the time to, like, you know, fucking learn how to play these video games.
Yeah.
So I just quit. I quit on and off. But even when I was quitting on and off, I legitimately had the knowledge to go. I just needed to be patient with myself. And that was my biggest struggle of it all, was to learn how to be patient. Because I'm sitting here expecting results like literally day one. And it's not probably gonna come until like day 150. You know? I'm expecting day one results, but it's not gonna come until like day 150, or sooner or later. One of the two, you know.
Super good.
So I had to learn, but gaming with disabilities taught me that it can be challenging, but it's not entirely impossible to do. You know. It's not entirely impossible to do, because when you take the time to adjust your settings, to adjust your sensitivity, to find out what buttons work out for you, and figure out what you are comfortable with, then you can also game too. Because I'm creating this video, I'm doing this video to simply let other people with cerebral palsy know, regardless if they play Overwatch or if they play any other games, that you can play games, but you're gonna have to learn how to be patient with yourself. And you're going to have to learn how to be open-minded to be able to change your settings around. Because I was trying to learn Overwatch characters with all of their different buttons and whatnot. I was trying to learn all their different I was trying to learn the different characters with but yeah, like I literally had to learn how to do everything differently, because I had the very ignorant mindset that if I could not play on the regular default buttons that everybody had, that I was not a good enough player. Like, I had that very ignorant mindset. But as time went on, even fully able-bodied people, I found fully able-bodied players that had different different layouts, different button layouts than me, and they was fully able-bodied, but this is what they found most comfortable to work for them, to make it to make the character that they're playing a more comfortable experience for one and all. So I learned that adjusting your settings, and especially adjusting the button layout of your preferred characters, is not a crime. It's legitimately making sure that you can play the game comfortably and effectively. And it took me a very long time to do that, because I was down on myself of being able to play these characters on default settings. But meanwhile, my friends who are fully able-bodied people have adjusted settings for certain characters, and they're fully able-bodied, but they just found out what works out for them. But I couldn't do that, because I was thinking that I was less than if I didn't have if I didn't master these buttons on or not. And then eventually I just threw that mentality out the window.
Super good.
I threw that mentality out the window and I adjusted my settings. I adjusted my button layout, and then once I got over like that ignorant mindset, it was just skyrocketed from there. Every time like a new character would come out, regardless of what role it was, what role class it was in, I would adjust my settings for that particular character and just keep it pushing. I would keep it pushing because I want to be able to play the games that I love. I want to be able to play the games that I love with the effectiveness and the comfortability of playing them and things like that.
Super good.
So my message to like other cerebral palsy gamers, regardless of what gamer you are, it could be story based, it could be first person shooters, it could be gacha. I don't give a fuck. If you know your button layout does not work for you, do not hesitate to fucking change your fucking buttons. Because it's like I said, it took me a long time to realize that. Once I stopped realizing that, then the sky was limitless for me. And it became a very beautiful thing because once I started changing my button layouts on certain heroes on Overwatch, I started enjoying the hero itself more, and I started enjoying their gameplay a whole lot more. And I became better at the hero themselves. So if you guys want like a settings update of like what I put for like, you know, my heroes, because I changed my button layout per session and whatnot. Like I change it a lot and whatnot, because again, I do, even though like I found like what works out for me, like sometimes I like to challenge myself to see if I can still do it, if I can like adapt to default, you know. Like I have my preferred button layout, but I have like a setting,
super good,
but I still want to see if I can like, you know, adapt to this hero while they're on like, you know, while they're on their defaults, you know. So yeah, I created this video simply to like let other people know and whatnot. And some frequently asked questions like I came up with that I want to share with you all before I end this video is, number one, do you think if you never quit Overwatch or video games in general, would you overcome like the obstacle of like it was too hard? And in my honest answer, I don't think I would have overcame it, because it was just so overwhelming of like these settings was so overwhelming. Like I didn't know what to do. I didn't know what to change. If I try to change it, it would just feel off. But it was just like a huge like process to deal with, and it's still like a huge process to deal with to this day. It's not like a very huge process. It's just like a minor process now. I just see like what works out for me and just keep pushing. But back then it was like a huge process. Like I was having a meltdown of changing a simple setting, a simple button layout. Like your girl was going through it. I don't think like if I stuck to it through and through, like day in and day out, it would have made a difference. I probably would have been like more miserable. I probably would still be screaming at myself, you know. But I think like the time of me quitting gave me the time to like, you know, calm down get my thoughts straight, get my feelings in order of like how I want to
Super
approach this. Do I
good.
want to approach this like full on head first, like just dive in
Woohoo!
face first and like not come up for air, or do I want to take baby steps and whatnot?
Yoo-hoo!
And the result of that, it was 50-50. I took baby steps and I dove in head
Yeah!
first. Like I literally changed some settings around, fucked around, find out which settings worked out for me.
Woohoo!
And every time I figure out what settings worked out for me, I kept the settings. I fucked around and find out what button layout worked
Yoo-hoo!
out for me. And I kept doing that same process until today. And like I still do that
Super
process today.
good!
Like I know like to put my fucking move, I know where to put my
Woohoo!
movement on like majority of the characters and whatnot.
Yeah!
And that is that. And another question is like
Yoo-hoo!
when it comes to like playing multiplayer games, how do you deal with like negative teammates
Woohoo!
telling you that you're trash and that you need to update your settings and like this, that, and the third?
Super
And
good!
my biggest advice is like if you play with if you want to turn off your voice, your comms and
Yoo-hoo!
and your text chat, then go ahead, do that, because whatever works out for your mental works out for your mental.
Yeah!
But for me personally, I just play like everything is off. Like
Super
I can
good!
still hear chat, I can still see the text chat. I just play like everything is off. Like I
Yoo-hoo!
genuinely don't give a shit. Like and this kind of goes in hand with the question, and
Woohoo!
especially when it comes to like me uploading content on social media, like I would just delete
Yeah!
comments if you guys are like, oh well, you need to adjust your settings, or like this is such
Super good!
bronze behavior and whatnot. Because at the end of the day, these settings worked out for me. I can play the game
Woohoo!
comfortably. I can play the game as freely as I want and effectively as I want,
Yoo-hoo!
and that's that. Like, but take that
Yeah!
and your negative comments can like legitimately like go to like fucking hell and shit.
Super good!
Another question I came up with
Woohoo!
is, if you didn't have the disabilities, what do you
Yoo-hoo!
think your gaming life would be like? I'm into that. I don't know, cause I wondered this. I wondered this as
Yeah!
well. Like, if I didn't have like the disabilities, would I be a little bit better than
Super
what I
good!
am right now? Because don't get me wrong, I'm a great player, but I know I'm
Yoo-hoo!
lacklustering because I'm at it again. I'm at a disadvantage because of my disabilities and whatnot.
Woohoo!
I always wonder what it would be like to game without disabilities at
Super
all,
good!
and maybe one day I I will probably have like the simulation of
Yeah!
that. But until then, it's just me and these disabilities against like the
Yoo-hoo!
world, you know. But I love my
Woohoo!
disabilities. Me and my disabilities came a very long way
Yeah!
of doing things, and I'm proud of myself for
Yoo-hoo!
overcoming all the obstacles of me crying every single night, of me crying every single
Woohoo!
night, of me being frustrated, of me uninstalling multiple
Super good!
games, including Overwatch, of me uninstalling multiple games time and time again because
Yoo-hoo!
I was just so frustrated about not being able to learn how to pick this up and whatnot.
Yeah!
I stuck through it all. With me quitting, with me being
Woohoo!
frustrated, I stuck through it all. But a part of me does wish like
Super good!
what gaming without like disabilities is like. It's just like a very like small inkling part of me.
Yoo-hoo!
It's not like a big part of me. It's like it's not at like the back of my mind. It's just like a small inkling that I think
Yeah!
about like every like now and then, like once in every blue moon type shit.
Woohoo!
But yeah, uh, but yeah, like
Yoo-hoo!
if you have any more questions, comments, about like
Yeah.
anything. Like if you guys want a video on my settings for like all like, I'm not gonna say all of like the characters in Overwatch, but if you want of I'm like legitimately forgetting words now. I apologize. But if you guys want like a video on like settings
Super
that
good.
I adjusted on certain movement characters, and or like settings that I adjusted across like any different games, because like I don't have settings adjusted on just Overwatch. I have them adjusted on Rivals, Dead by Daylight, and like so on and so forth. Like I have settings adjusted on like vast different games to make it easier for me to game. Okay.
Super good.
So with that being said, I want to give a big shout out to my friend Kiko for helping me with this script,
Yeah.
because she was a phenomenal help. So I will leave her, if you guys want to check her out, I will leave down below. But and also I want to give a
Super good.
huge shout out to the creator that actually inspired this whole entire video idea for
Yeah.
both short form content wise and long form content wise. Her name is Forgotten. I will drop her Instagram and her TikTok down below. I saw her video on her video on cerebral palsy, and I was like, I want to share my story as
Super
well.
good.
So a huge shout out to her, and thank you guys for listening to my story. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care of yourself, drink your water, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.